Hey y'all, coming in with another video. This one for a sort of fun project that's spearheaded by booktuber Rick MacDonnell. Check his channel out, he's great. It's called the Booktube Spin, and so the idea is that you have 20 books, preferably 5 books of 4 different categories, that you assign a number to, and then once every 2 months Rick will spin a wheel, and whatever number comes up, you have 2 months to read that book. So this is I'm late to the party. This started in January, so I'm going to have to get caught up as quickly as I can. So I've got my 20 books here off to the side. Let's go through them and give them a number, and this will be fun. So first up, I've got 5 books I haven't read by authors that I love. So first, number 1, we've got Leaving the Sea. It's a story collection by Ben Marcus. This is the only Ben Marcus book that I haven't read, so I am very excited to get to this most recent publication as well. Next up, we've got Borne by Jeff Vandermeer. This book is not his most recent book, but it came out. He publishes very frequently. This came out in 2017. I bought it when it came out. I read about half of it and burned out. But I did like it. I want to finish it, so it's on the list. Similar story with Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. George Saunders is one of my favorite authors, and bought this when it came out. Got about halfway through it, burned out, but liked it a lot and want to finish it. Uh-oh, I see a trend here. We've got Killing Commendatore by Haruki Murakami. This book came out like 2018, I want to say, and I bought it, and I read 100 pages of it, and I didn't finish it. It's on the list for a reason. And finally, in the category of books I haven't read by authors I love, we have The Savage Detectives by Roberto Bolano. This is his other major novel besides 2666. It apparently has some connected characters to it as well, which is fun. I've never even sort of tried to crack into it, but that should be fun to check out. Second set of 5 books I have is books in a series that I've read at least one book of, but have not finished the series. So first up, we've got The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. I read the first 2 of the trilogy, of the 5th season trilogy, back-to-back about a year and a half ago. Enjoyed them greatly. Started this one, burned out on it. No particular reason why I burned out on it. I think probably just reading them all in a row was probably a bad idea. But I liked the first 2 quite a bit. I'm not much of a fantasy person, but I find N.K. Jemisin to be a fantastic writer. So next up, we've got the second book in my struggle by Karl Knausgaard. These books were such a literati phenomenon when I was in college and working at Barnes & Noble. It was pretty impossible to ignore them. I read the first one at that time. This would have been in like 2014. And I liked it a lot, but I didn't have a lot of vigor to keep going in the series, even though I had bought, I think I've 2 and I think I got rid of the first one, so I have 2 and 3 somewhere. But time has gone on, and I feel like I'm ready to come back to Knausgaard and see what he has to say about the minutiae of his life. I've heard that the second one is better than the first one. That's cool. Next up, The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu. This is the sequel to The Three-Body Problem. I read The Three-Body Problem in like 2017, I want to say, and enjoyed it quite a bit, and never read the sequels. I have both of them, of the trilogy. Three-Body Problem, very interesting science fiction book, very interesting concept of alien life. Interested to see what Liu could do with the sequels, because it felt unnecessary to have them. Next, my sort of literature palate cleanser, we've got Abaddon's Gate, the 3rd Expanse book. I read these Expanse books when I'm sort of in the mood to just, like I said, cleanse my palate, because they're not great literature, but they are very fun and compelling. They're total page turners. I read the first two about a year apart from each other. It's been about a year and a half since I read the second one, so it's about time I dip in. I've got 3, 4, and 5 on my shelf. I think they're up to 9. My God. There you go. And finally, for this category, Wise Man's Fear by Pat Rothfuss. Around the same time I was talking about when I was in college working at Barnes & Noble, 2014, 2013, I read Name of the Wind. Like I said, I'm not a big fantasy guy, but that book was really good. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I bought this one, but then I said to myself, I'm not going to read it until the third one's out, because I don't want to, be stuck waiting. Well, it's been 7 years and the third one is still not out, so I think it's probably high time I just go ahead and read this. I've had it sitting on my shelf all that time. So that was the sequels in series that I am not finished with yet. Up next, we've got books that I should have read a long fucking time ago. Things that I've had carried around with me for years, meaning to read, and or things that, like, I'm so behind on that it's like embarrassing that I haven't read them. So first up, this is embarrassing. It's The Pale King by David Foster Wallace. I bought this book the day it came out. This very copy, the day it came out, which was in the year of April of 2011. So it's been just over 10 years since this book came out. And you guys know I'm a big Wallace fan. I looked forward to this book greatly. I think there was something about how heartbroken I still was over his death that kept me from being able to really sink my teeth into this. I took a stab at it. I think this bookmark... Oh, no, that's just at the beginning. Oh, look at this. Ancient Augsburg College receipt here. That's fun. From my college days. I just never was able to get myself to read this. But I really should. I've heard that it's fantastic. Of course, I've heard that it's not infinite jest. How could something that was published under these circumstances be that? But for what it is, I've heard that it's quite phenomenal. Next, we've got The Recognitions by William Gaddis. As people who have been following my stuff know, I just read J.R. by William Gaddis. This is his other sort of masterpiece, his first novel. I bought this copy of this book when I was 17 years old and have carried it around with me since, and have never... One time I got like 100... I think this bookmark is in where I was. 119 pages into this like 950-page book. But it's high time that it gets read. It's just been sitting on my shelf for too long. Next, we've got The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I just picked this up because I just reread Blood Meridian. But when this came out, it was on Oprah and all that stuff, and that turned me off. And so when everybody else read it, I was thinking I was too good for it. I've come around to things like that and accept that things that are popular and that Oprah likes can be good. I've read other books that are Oprah picks that I've enjoyed. So, yeah. Next, we've got Crime and Punishment, another book I picked up recently. I am terribly unwell read in the world of classics, and I've always felt like Russian literature probably would speak to me because of the sort of miserly, drunken, depressive way of life that is the Russian way of life. I love Russian film, so I felt like Crime and Punishment would be a good jumping off point. something I should have read a long time ago. And, of course, we've got Stoner by John Williams. This is like, you know, how did I not get through college without reading Stoner? I don't know. It's like a 20th century classic, right up my alley. Should have read it when I was younger, probably. But now could be the time. And finally, my final category is going to be rereads. Books that I have already read, but for whatever reason, it's been a while, or in the case of one, I just sort of felt compelled with my feelings changing over time about the book, that I feel like I need to reread them. So, up first is The Collected Fictions of Jorge Luis Borges. These are all, like, favorite books of mine, largely. This is, you know, just a canonical masterpiece. He's one of the greatest writers of all time. I like rereading him every once in a while. Sometimes I'll just pick it up and read a story or two, but I think it would be a good practice to just go back and burn through the whole oeuvre. Up next, we've got Wolf and White Van by John Darnielle. I talked in my recent acquisitions video this week about this book, about how I had read it before and want to read it again, because at first it was like a good 4-star read, but then sort of stuck with me, and sort of I kept churning and turning it over in my mind, and just really have felt recently like I really need to reread it and get a solid grasp on it, because it feels like it could be one of my favorite books. Maybe I just read it at the wrong time, you know. Next, we've got 2666. These last 3 books are like the books I think of as like my 3 favorite books, and all 3 of them, it's been 10 years since I read. So this is, I talked in my favorite books video about this one more extensively. It's harrowing, brutal, engrossing, and it occupies, it lives a lot of space in my mind. So Infinite Jest, what else needs to be said? And The Instructions by Adam Levin. I talked ad nauseum about both of those books in my favorite books video. So what'll happen is that Rick MacDonnell will spin the wheel, and one of these books will get selected, and I will read it, and then I'll make a video about that. You're supposed to have 2 months to read it. This started in January, so I'm 4 months behind. So I'll just get through the first couple that have already been spun as fast as I can, and then I'll be on track to join up with the rest of them. If you've read any of these books and you're excited for me to read them, throw a comment down in the comment section. Let me know.